I'm Melvin York, and this is Gardening with Daddy Pete. Today we're going to start a segment. It's probably going to be 2 to 3 parts. I don't want to um, go through this one too quickly. And what we're going to do is we're going to entitle this one, Why to Garden? Why to Garden? And I know a lot of times that we garden for the different reasons. We want healthy food. We want fresh food. We do it as a hobby. Sometimes it's the thing to do or it's the end fad. But gardening now and this day and time is uh, more necessary than you probably know. Now, we do the podcast here at Daddy Pete, and this is not just to, make you aware of our products. Honestly, we do enjoy seeing people garden. I have my whole life. I'm going on next to 68 years old. Gardening has always, since I can remember, walking between the farm and across the road, the farm with my grandfather, the house at Dad's, farming, gardening. My mother was always the one that was into in her spare time with the flowers and the shrubs. So it's always been a part of my life, a part of my life that I enjoy. Years back, gardening started to diminish in the neighborhoods, and now they're coming back. And I've been a big advocate and a fan of helping people to start that tradition again. Not only is a tradition that you need to teach your children, learn yourself, but now more than ever, it may be a necessity more than a tradition. Now, the reason I say this, and the reason I said it's going to take 2 or 3 parts to do this, I finished the segment. Our last segment was, we were talking about how that this time of year, again, let me remind everybody, we're in the Piedmont of North Carolina, 17th of July. And, we can still extend our summer garden. Most of your things can be planted, get a second crop on them like beans, some varieties of corn, early day corns, sweet corns, uh, cucumbers would be one. You can plant summer squash, tomatoes and peppers. Believe it or not, if you can find the plants, you've already got somebody that has plants, and they are available. You can go ahead and transplant those, and these are the things that can come along. Now, one thing you want to remember, if you did plant beans, and the beans that are what we used to call, when we would let things go to seed, we'd say, well, we're going to lay them by. In other words, we're just going to let them go ahead and finish out their cycle. We've already picked over them once, twice, 3 times, depending on the season. So we're laying it by. A lot of times after we cultivated the crop or to finish growing, we say, well, we're laying this field by. So just to give you an idea of the terminology, what I'm speaking about. If you have not pulled up or done away with your bean plants and are still producing beans, and some got bigger or older than what you like, they're going to turn to seed. Let them turn to seed if you have room for them. You can zip the internet and it can tell you how to save those seeds. And that would be a good one. We're going to go into why beans are probably one of the number one things that you need to grow and save. We'll get into that with you. One of the things that I want to tell you about, people have talked about food shortages in the United States. We've already seen that. Regardless of what your news tells you, regardless whatever, the proof's in the pudding when you walk in to the grocery stores and you see empty shelves. To me, that's a shortage. Correct me if I'm wrong. We have every excuse for it. The government gives us excuse. Well, the reason we're having shortage is kind of COVID. We don't have enough workers. The plants can't run, or the processing plants can't run because not enough workers. But yet we're still paying people that's able-bodied to sit at home. And so, regardless of how these shortages are coming about, we do have a shortage. Don't make a mistake about that. Make no mistake about that. There are shortages there. There are shortages coming, and there's probably no way around it. A friend of mine works for a flour company here in the Piedmont that makes flour for all your baking needs, and they supply huge companies with flour. They were down for 2 days. They didn't have grain or wheat to produce that. And here it is right in the harvesting season. Grain has just been harvested, your wheat has, but yet there's a shortage, not only here, but there's a shortage worldwide. I read an article, and you can go back and you can see this on the USDA, and we'll talk some more about it. And if you're interested, it's going to be 2 to 3 part segment of this, so I can get you all the information. You can check this out. Everything I've got will be credible, that you can go right back to the internet, and you'll see it through the government agencies, or you'll see it through a credible news article that you can also trace back into the government agencies. Of the USDA would be one of the main ones. But the thing is, we were down worldwide in the latter part of May of this year, which is 2022, to less than a 20-day supply of wheat, not for the United States, but worldwide. That's kind of scary. Now, most people's under the influence of the government has stockpiles, and we do have stockpiles. The only thing we don't stockpile is food. Now, we do stockpile some wheat. I think we keep 24 to 27 million bushels, but that would be for nations away from the United States in time of their need. In other words, for foreign help. But as far as a stockpile for the United States, the only stockpile, which is very small, is stockpiled by FEMA, which in a national emergency in one area where they can rush in and distribute out some water, some types of food, etc. Now, but they're still depending on other parts of the country to make that happen too. It's not like it's stored in everything stored in a warehouse to pull us through another Katrina. And that's only at that geographical location. We're not talking about the whole United States. We're only talking about a state or the edges. The whole thing that Katrina done probably would make one state, and there's 50 of us. So, no. Do we have strategic stockpiles in the United States? We do. We have some on oil, medical. We do have medical and medical equipment stockpile. Then we have some other things that the government can draw on, like helium that could be used in times of our armed forces could do that. We have a strategic supply of petroleum reserve that we've tapped into here just in the last few days. So again, we do these to strengthen national security and protect the U.S. foreign policy is mostly why these stockpiles have been created. The Strategic National Stockpile actually grew out of an earlier program, which was the National Pharmaceutical Stockpile, which Congress created it, I think, around 1999 to serve as an emergency supply of drugs and vaccines in case of a wake of a terrorist attack or crisis affecting public health. It was overseen at that time by the CDC, or the Centers of Disease Control. Of course, in 2003, we went on, and later then we started at one time actually made it bigger, the strategic stockpiles for petroleum. and for some other things that we've done. Now, I know here is where the misconception comes in on food. During our farm programs and all, the government would actually buy the surplus that farmers had or that dairies had. I'm sure you remember, or if you're my age or a little younger, or you've heard talk of it if you are younger, that the government bought milk. We made cheese, butter, stockpiled it. They took the milk, put it in powdered milk, and that was to help our dairy farmers from losing their farms. At that time, that's what they used it for. But those were handed out during the programs of the welfare, or would be called today SNAP or WIC, or some of the many other programs that does basically the same thing. And I think we have 24 to 27 of them. Now, I'm giving you a lot of information here, and you say, well, what's that got to do with gardening? I'm getting there. Just hang with me. But these programs was not a thing that lasted. We don't have a stockpile of cheese now. We don't have a stockpile of dry milk. We don't have a stockpile of beans. We don't have a stockpile of wheat, not for the United States anyhow. So these are the things that I want you to know when you're growing your garden, and if you have a chance to make it bigger, and you utilize as many months of the garden as you can, you're going to have to be, and will help you, your neighbors, your family, to be more sufficient on as much things as you can. Now, staples in our diet would be something like milk. That's the thing you want to keep around. Dried beans is a good one that we keep. Dried rice. These things, of course, rice. We're not here where we do grow rice around here. At one time, though, in the low country of South Carolina, back during the Civil War times, that was what it was known for, the rice that it grew. So is it possible there are areas in North Carolina, South Carolina, and all that could grow rice? Well, sure they are. But that's getting past where we're at. Right now, we're talking about your gardening and why it's a necessity to garden if you have the capabilities to do so. Again, we've talked about different ways of gardening. You can pot garden, you can garden in pots, you can raise bed gardens. There's actually what I call a fake raised bed. You can mound up and plant off of that. You can row garden if you have the land, plant everything's in a row, cultivate in between. There's just so many ways we can do this. And as we go through, I hope that we're helping you understand that here in the Piedmont part of North Carolina, you've got about 10 months out of the year that you can actually harvest vegetables, plant garden. The other 2 months, it just about takes that time to prep and get ready to keep these gardens going. So that's the part that we want to help you with. But I do want to give you just an example of what things are going through. So I give you a quick overview today of the real truth is that we do not, as a nation, stockpile food. And I'm going to go through more of that and tell you what we have got and how little that it really is. Now, I talk to people every day. That's not going to happen. We're America. That's not going to happen. Oh, no, you're wrong. Well, okay. All right. Let's just say that it's not going to happen. Let's just say that it's not happening now, even though we're looking at empty shelves. What will it hurt for you to be prepared for you and your family? Now, if your family's like mine, I've got some of my family that, that's not going to happen. Okay, you're entitled to your opinion, but when you see the facts before you, and I'm hearing things every day of where this is short now, this is short, and if you really start looking at things, and go on your USDA pages, go on your agriculture pages, see where the grain's leaving the country, where it's being exported, where our commodities are going. And then you'll understand how important that your garden really is to you. Now, again, at Daddy Pete, we are concerned about and very concerned about things that's going on in today. And by that, I mean what's going on in 2022 and what's going to be going on in 2023. No, we don't read the future, but yes, history does repeat itself, so to speak. And again, you take what's in front of your eyes and you look and you make a decision on what you want to do. Pretty simple, you know. But our main focus is to make sure that if you do choose to grow a garden and grow it all the way through, we want to help you. Now, we do offer products that helps that. Again, that's not our goal with this podcast is to sell products. We introduce them to you. We'd like for you to have a good product. If you choose to buy our products, we thank you. If you choose not to, we still want you to listen to our podcast. We still want to help. And that's what we're going to do. Now, please, please, please understand, I'm not getting into politics when I start telling you what our United States has done, because during this time, and when we go back, it's, you know, everybody was involved as far as politics goes. So this is not what this is. It's not a politician bashing thing. This is reality of where we're at, what went on beforehand, what's going on now, what we can do to avoid it. It's just that simple. Again, your party affiliation makes no difference to me, or that's not what we're here for. We're here to make sure that you are successful in your gardening. Now, we started that today and kind of give you just a little overview of what's going to be going on. And as we're doing that, we're going to be giving your garden tips along, like I talked about today. One of the things that you can grow more of next year than you do this year, where you can save, is beans. Let them go to seed, dry them. That takes no electricity as far as running the freezer. If you got them canned, you don't have to worry about doing that. And can some, freeze some. Sure, it's fine to do all that. But you want to dry some too, because here's the thing. You can cook dried beans and you can plant dried beans. So you've got a dual purpose when you dry those beans and correctly and put them up. And it's great to vacuum seal them if you can. The bean seed will stay good, most of them 6 to 7 years. So you don't have to worry about losing them. And that's also for eating purposes too. So that's just a good thing. I'm giving you a little bit of a hint here. If you've got space for more beans, grow some. Again, that's a staple, and you're making sure that you're being prepared a little bit. I don't want to go in and call this prepping or whatever, but I do want to call it common sense. We take what we see happening and we prepare for it. It's just that simple. I do want to thank everybody for listening to our podcast, and I hope it does encourage you to garden. I hope it does help you. Hope we give you some good tips. If you get a moment and you have time, sure would appreciate you going to our webpage. That's daddypete's.com, and you can click on our podcast there. And if you have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. If we can help you in any way, or if we hadn't covered a topic that you have questions on or curious about. Also, while you're there, sign up for our email. We send that out once a month. It's free to you. We don't use your address, your email address to advertise with, or you're safe with us. You know, that's not our intent here. Our intent, again, is to help you garden. While you're there, take a look around of our products. I'm sure that some of your projects, you would be glad to see that we do offer something for just about every project that you're doing as far as gardening or landscaping. And we just appreciate so much you taking the time just to look at our products. Well, this is all we're going to do for today on this subject. But why gardening? Why gardening? Why do I need to garden? Is it really worth it? The answer is yes, it's more than worth it. Am I going to spend more money than it returns? No, no. You're going to, your return is going to be so much more. It's going to be so much more, usually in monetary. It's going to be so much more in mental health. It clears your mind. It gives you a sense of accomplishment. If you have kids or grandkids, you're teaching them something and helping them be self-sufficient also. So yeah, it's really worth it. Well, until next time, again, this is Melvin York, and you've been listening to Garden with Daddy Pete. Thank you.